Exposed. The incredible truth behind a $2 card while my sister received a $4,300 Gucci bag. The evening air was thick with excitement as lights danced like stars across the porch of the Jensen family home. Lily Jensen, 17, stood at the back of the crowded living room, her heart pounding. All around her, laughter filled the air, mingling with the sweet scent of cotton candy and the clinking of glasses. It was her sister Megan's birthday, an extravagant affair fit for a queen. And at the center of it all lay a gleaming package, a lavish gift that had everyone gasping, a $4,300 Gucci bag, glistening like a celebrity's spotlight. As Megan unraveled the shimmering wrapping paper, a tight knot formed in Lily's stomach. She clutched her handmade card, its simple design betraying the love she poured into it with every stroke. Each color and each word spoke of her admiration for Megan, and yet it felt painfully inadequate against the backdrop of wealth displayed before her. The glittering bag held a world of privilege, while her card represented late nights and limited means. "Wow, sis, you're the luckiest," a friend exclaimed, eyes wide with envy as the shiny bag appeared. Lily felt like a ghost in the corner, invisible and unvalued. She couldn't shake the nagging thought that no matter how heartfelt her gesture was, it would never match the splendor of Megan's gift. Somehow, the glitzy gift felt like it underscored everything she feared, being overlooked, unappreciated, even unloved. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Little did Lily know, a crisis was brewing just outside their small town. Their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, was facing eviction due to medical bills piling up like fallen leaves. For Lily, hearing about Mrs. Thompson's plight was like a slap in the face, a wake-up call to the harsh realities lurking just beyond the glittering facade of her sister's birthday celebration. With her heart racing, Lily sprang into action, determined to unite the community she loved. Her friends rallied around her as they brainstormed ways to raise funds. She believed wholeheartedly in the power of hard work and compassion, qualities she felt were slowly slipping away from a world consumed by wealth. But as she organized, doubt whispered in her ear. Would anyone listen to her, especially with Megan's glamorous aura looming nearby? Tension crackled at home as arguments erupted over perceived favoritism and differing values. Each sister, cloaked in their insecurities, hurled words that cut deep. In a moment of raw honesty, they both needed to consider what loyalty and love really meant. Their feud left a void filled with unspoken truths, a chasm that only seemed to widen during the extravagant birthday festivities. As the fundraiser approached, hope mixed with fear. For both Lily and Megan, the stakes had never felt higher. Standing together at the center of the crowd, everything about their relationship, their ambitions, and contrasting beliefs loomed heavy. They could either allow envy to suffocate them or rise as the sisters they were meant to be. Would this night of choices forge a rift that lasted forever? Or would it ultimately lead them to discover what truly binds family together? Lily's fingers trembled as she prepared for the fundraiser, each movement heavy with the weight of expectation. The community center was filled with a blend of excitement and tense anticipation. Banners announcing the event fluttered with the breeze, and volunteers scurried about, busy making last-minute arrangements. She could see her friends setting up booths and arranging baked goods to attract the crowd, and a wave of pride washed over her amid the chaos. But then her eyes drifted to Megan, who floated through the crowd with an effortless grace. Wearing a stylish outfit that emphasized her natural beauty, Megan was the center of attention, the queen of the night. Suddenly, the weight on Lily's shoulders felt more like a boulder. Would anyone care about her cause when they could be captivated by her sister's glow? "Hey, Lily, can you help me tie these balloons?" a friend called out, pulling her back to the moment. Lily nodded and moved over, trying to focus on the task at hand. As she worked, a memory flashed before her. The times she and Megan would blow up balloons for their own birthday parties, laughing and making silly faces as they filled the room with color. It hurt to think those simple joys were now overshadowed by this gap between them. "Are you nervous?" her friend asked, breaking her chain of thought. "Just a bit," she replied, forcing a smile. But the nerves spiraling in her stomach were much more than just a bit. They clawed at her insides, gnawing at her resolve. When the clock struck 7 and the community members began to trickle in, Lily felt her heart race again. She stood at the entrance, her handmade signs visible behind her. Each statement, each plea for help, felt like a shout amidst the gentle hum of chatter surrounding her. A part of her whispered, "What if nobody cares?" Megan stepped forward with her group of friends, each holding a drink and chatting animatedly. As she spotted Lily, a flicker of recognition crossed her face. A flicker, but no words, just a fleeting moment before the tide of popularity swept her away. Lily remained rooted in place, but the arrival of their neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, pulled her toward the truth. As the elderly woman entered, it felt like a balm to Lily's worried heart. Mrs. Thompson moved slowly, her good humor contagious as she greeted everyone. But Lily could see the strain in her eyes, could feel the weight of her reality as she approached. "Thank you for putting this together, dear," Mrs. Thompson said, wrapping her shaky hands around Lily's. "You've always had such a big heart." The warmth of her words struck Lily deeply, igniting a fire of determination within. Why should Megan's world constantly overshadow hers? After an hour of mingling, the time came to present the fundraiser. Taking a deep breath, Lily stepped to the makeshift stage. The chatter quieted as faces turned her way. She felt the weight of the moment settle over her like a thick blanket, her insecurities clawing for space. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she began, her voice trembling but steadying with each word. "This isn't about what we have. This is about coming together to help one of our own." Then, just as she was building momentum, she noticed Megan whispering to her friends, laughter bubbling over from their group. An ache of jealousy surged through her, but she pushed it down hard. "This event is for Mrs. Thompson, who has given us so much. She's fighting to stay in her home." The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered. Lily's eyes swept over the crowd, searching for understanding, for a spark of connection. "We can make a difference together." But then a voice called from the back, laced with disbelief. "Does it even matter? Isn't she just another neighbor?" Nerves clashed with fury inside Lily, and she gripped the podium tighter, suddenly determined not to let negativity win. "Yes, it matters. She's not just a neighbor, she's our community." As she spoke, she caught Megan's gaze, filled with surprise and something more, curiosity. For the first time that night, the two sisters were standing on the same ground, united by the life pulsing through their shared space, despite their differences. But would this be enough to break through their barriers? The question lingered, heavy in the air, as everyone watched, waiting for what would happen next. Lily felt an electric charge in the room, a mix of curiosity and tension as her words hung in the air. She sensed an opportunity unfolding between her and the crowd. People leaned in a little closer, studying her face with a blend of sympathy and surprise. Then, to her shock, Megan stepped forward, leaving her group behind. "Wait," Megan said, her voice rising above murmurs. "I think Lily's right. We all need to see our neighbors as more than just faces we see around town." Lily blinked, her heart skipping. Did Megan just defend her? She felt almost dizzy. It was as if the world had flipped on its axis, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Megan continued, her eyes shifting toward Mrs. Thompson. "She means something to all of us. Maybe we..." don't realize how much until people start to struggle. I just thought we could come together over something more than just a night out." The crowd stirred, people nodding. Lily could hardly believe her ears. Was this the same sister who always seemed to overshadow her? It sparked hope deep within her. A voice from the back spoke again. "All right then, what can we do?" The challenge hung in the air, but this time it felt like an invitation, an opportunity for cooperation. "Maybe we can empty our pockets a little more," another person piped up, glancing over at their friends. "I mean, it's just one night, and for her." "For Mrs. Thompson," Lily cut in, her voice gaining strength. "If we work together, we can raise enough to really make a difference. We're all here for her, not just for ourselves." Megan met Lily's gaze, something unspoken passing between them. They both knew their past grievances could no longer matter if they wanted to help. Lily felt as if a bridge was slowly forming between them. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. The energy of the gathering shifted, the crowd rallying together. One by one, donations began to flow in. Their neighbor Judy stepped up, reaching into her purse. "I'll start. Here's 20. Then another neighbor chimed in. "I can match that." Soon, laughter mingled with excited conversations, like fireflies dancing through the dim-lit room. People passing envelopes, pulling out cash, small bills exchanged like promises. Lily's heart swelled with warmth. This is what community felt like. This is what she had craved, to be seen, to be heard, not overshadowed. Every smile, every nod from the crowd ignited her spirit, and she saw Megan smiling back, her sister's earlier elegance no longer a caged bird, but a beacon of support. Lily took a moment to breathe, to feel the energy coursing through her. She felt liberated, as if the weight was lifted, the spotlight finally shared. She thought maybe, just maybe, they could both shine. Then the realization struck her with a thrill. "We have the power to change someone's life," she exclaimed. "Mrs. Thompson isn't just our neighbor, she's part of our family. Let's show her the love she deserves." But in that moment of unity, another voice rang out, a sharp, disbelieving one. "What's the point? Mrs. Thompson wouldn't care if she got a few bucks. It's not like she's part of our world." The ripple of indignation shocked Lily. She turned, fury flooding through her again, ready to retort. But as she opened her mouth, the look on Megan's face stopped her cold. Megan's eyes flashed with determination, nodding toward their neighbor. She may not wear the trendy clothes or have the biggest house, but who here hasn't needed support at one point or another? Just then, Lily noticed Mrs. Thompson standing off to the side, her expression unreadable. Suddenly, it felt all too real. How vulnerable they all were beneath bravado and pretense. This was more than a fundraiser now. It was a reckoning. Would they acknowledge their responsibility to one another? The tension hung thick like fog. What if this turned into a moment of division rather than connection? Would they rise together or crumble under the weight of their assumptions? The silence stretched, every heart in the room bracing for what would emerge next. Lily felt every eye on her as the weight of the room pressed down. She glanced at Megan, whose expression was a mixture of defiance and encouragement, but the shadow of doubt lingered, echoing in the silence. "What's wrong with you people?" someone finally spat out. The voice belonged to Carl, the man with a reputation for being the town's cynic. "You think a handful of cash is going to change anything for Mrs. Thompson? You're just throwing money into a void." Lily's heart raced as his words sliced through the air. She glanced at Mrs. Thompson, still distant and quiet, her face a mask of quiet resignation. What if Carl was right? What if their efforts were meaningless? Megan stepped forward again, her voice steady. "Change doesn't happen overnight, Carl, but it starts somewhere. We're all here because we care." "And what do you actually know about caring?" he shot back. "You're all wrapped up in your own shiny lives. How can you even begin to understand what she needs?" The crowd murmured, the energy shifting. Lily's spirit dipped. Were they really so lost in their privilege that they couldn't grasp someone else's pain? But then Mrs. Thompson spoke up, her voice a gentle tremor cutting through the murmur. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I don't need charity. I need connection. The room hushed, the severity of her words wrapping around everyone like a warm embrace turned cold. Lily's heart sank. Sure, Mrs. Thompson didn't want money. She wanted something genuine, something far more challenging to give. The realization struck Lily like lightning. We need to know each other more, she whispered, her voice barely audible but laced with urgency. We need to find out how Mrs. Thompson really feels. What she feels? Carl laughed bitterly. So we sit around and have a feel-good session? Real nice. But Megan shot a determined look at him, like a flame igniting hope. Yes, we've spent so much time talking about what should happen, but what's missing are real conversations. Let's ask her. Let's listen. Lily felt a flicker of warmth push back against the doubt. Maybe they didn't need to have all the answers. Maybe it started with a simple question and a listening ear. Mrs. Thompson, Lily began, forcing her voice to sound steady. What can we do to help? How about we start by just listening? The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Would they take that step? Would they be brave enough to open their hearts alongside Mrs. Thompson? She's not a project, Carl scoffed. You can't just help her like some charity case. Megan took a deep breath, addressing the crowd. That's the point, Carl. She's not a case. She's a person with dreams, worries, and a life we've failed to acknowledge. Look around. It's not just about money. It's about the bonds we form. With every word, Lily felt the walls around her heart begin to shift. Yes, it was about connection. Each small moment adding up to something that could change lives. Maybe tonight was less about the money and more about a commitment to growing as a community. Mrs. Thompson looked at each person, her eyes softening, the mask of detachment peeling away. I've felt alone for so long. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but just knowing you're here makes a difference already. Suddenly, a spark ignited in the crowd. Individuals began to share stories, small moments of vulnerability that stitched them closer. It was in these imperfections that a real community thrived. Okay, Carl finally said, his voice more subdued. Let's hear her story then. A wave of agreement rippled through the crowd, and for the first time, hope seeped into the room like sunlight breaking through gray clouds. Next to Lily, Megan smiled, both of them feeling the atmosphere shift. This was only the beginning, and maybe, just maybe, they could bridge the gap together. As they prepared to listen, Lily felt a nagging question linger in her heart. If they found a way to understand Mrs. Thompson, how would they handle the truth once it was laid bare? What might emerge from that conversation, tangled in the complexities of life and love? The room hushed as Mrs. Thompson took a deep breath, gathering strength in her quiet frailty. Lily watched intently, her heart drumming loudly in her chest. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, the chance to peel away the layers of silence that had grown thick over the years. I have lived in this community for more years than I can count, Mrs. Thompson began, her voice soft but clear. I weathered storms of joy and sorrow, and through it all, I felt the sting of isolation. It's not the money, not the things that allow me to thrive. It's connection. Lily leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly together. Their eyes were locked for a heartbeat, and Mrs. Thompson's grief echoed within her. I raised my children here, she continued, her voice trembling slightly. But they moved away, in search of brighter futures. They call, yes, but it's not the same. I miss the daily chats, the laughter shared over coffee, the easy companionship of just being nearby. I haven't had a real conversation in weeks. Gasps sprang from the crowd, the weight of her reality settling over them like a heavy blanket. Carl, leaning against the wall, closed his eyes and shook his head. Perhaps he finally understood. And as Lily dared to glance at him, she saw his expression soften, as if a bridge within him had begun to build. "What do you want us to know?" Megan asked, her voice steady and inviting, urging Mrs. Thompson to dig deeper into her truth. "Sometimes it's the little things," Mrs. Thompson replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You think you're strong enough to fight these battles alone, but it wears you down. I want to know that I matter to this place, to you all, that I am not just Mrs. Thompson, the old woman down the road. I long to be a part of your lives again." The crowd stirred, whispers filling the air as realizations crashed over them like waves. Then a young voice spoke up from the back. "Like a community garden, we can plant flowers together." "Yes, and we can have picnics," another chimed in, her enthusiasm infectious. Lily felt a well of joy bubble up inside her. Each idea was a thread weaving the community closer together, binding them in purpose and love. This wasn't just about Mrs. Thompson anymore. It was about their shared humanity. Carl, arms crossed, finally stepped forward. "Maybe we've been too busy to see that we need each other. Not just for the big things, but also for the small, everyday moments that add up." He looked at Mrs. Thompson as if she had awakened something within him. Lily felt her heart swell. This moment was beautiful. Instead of dividing them, the truth was connecting them in ways they hadn't imagined. As the crowd grew more animated, sharing laughter and hopeful plans, Mrs. Thompson smiled. The warmth of the room was palpable, a real sense of community rising like a phoenix from the ashes of their previous disconnect. But as two hopeful teenagers began discussing a neighborhood movie night, Lily felt a familiar tug of anxiety. What if this spark fizzled out, like so many before? Would their commitment last, or would they slip back into their separate lives, comfortable again in their oblivion? Just then, Mrs. Thompson turned to Lily, her expression soft. "You've taken the first step, dear, but it's only the beginning. Are you all willing to walk this path together?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Lily looked at the faces around her, each illuminated by newfound hope. Would that willingness blossom into something lasting, something transformative? As they began to talk about the logistics of their plans, Lily's mind raced. How could she ensure they all committed to this connection? What would it take to keep the fire burning bright? The answer loomed, just out of reach, and as uncertainty curled at her edges, Lily knew this conversation was only the start of questioning the deeper truths hidden beneath the surface. The warmth in the room swelled, like a cocoon wrapping around each person present. Mrs. Thompson's words had lit a small fire, and everyone gathered around felt the warmth radiating from it. Plans were tossed around, garden layouts, picnic dates, even a book club. The laughter moved like a breeze, refreshing and hopeful. But as the light-hearted discussions unfolded, Lily felt a tiny knot deepen in her stomach. Amid all the joy and connection, she wondered if anyone really understood the weight of what was at stake. She couldn't shake the feeling that the fleeting enthusiasm would fade, just like it had so many times before, leaving them all feeling empty again. Carl's voice broke through her thoughts as he spoke. "I'll help organize the garden. We'll call it Thompson's Garden, in your honor, Mrs. Thompson." The room erupted in tears, and Lily found herself clapping along, but her smile was tinged with uncertainty. Megan turned to her. "What do you think, Lily? You've always been good with organizing events and things." All eyes fell on her, waiting for a spark of inspiration. Heat crept into her cheeks, and she hesitated. "I mean, yeah, I'd love to help. It's just," she gulped, trying to find the right words, "I guess I'm just worried that this will be like the last time." It wasn't the answer they expected. The room fell silent, the energy shifting. It was as if a sudden cloud cast a shadow over their joyful plans. "What do you mean?" Carl asked, brow furrowed. "It's just, Sometimes we get excited. We make big plans, but then life takes over, doesn't it? People get busy, and it just fades. Lily's voice trembled slightly, each word weighted with fear. Moments hung between them, a collective breath held as they processed her words. She could feel Mrs. Thompson's wise gaze resting on her, the unspoken understanding bridging generations. Lily, we can't let that happen this time, Mrs. Thompson finally replied, her voice steady and calming. This has to come from our hearts. It needs tending, just like any garden. It can't just be a project. A woman in the front chimed in. Exactly. This is about real relationships, not just a checklist of tasks. We need to hold each other accountable. Lily's heart fluttered. But how do we do that? Life happens, and it's easy to drift apart. Carl glanced at her, his eyes bright with a new resolve. We could create a kind of buddy system, like we pair up and check in on each other. Lily felt warmth fill her, the possibilities blooming like fresh petals. Yes, if we can keep each other engaged, it might just stick. We could share our struggles. If someone's falling behind, we can help out. Inspired murmurs buzzed through the crowd, the tension melting away into something more. What if we also meet every month, not just the garden, but to check in? Megan suggested, her enthusiasm infectious again. We can support each other through everything. Lily's mind raced with ideas. What if they established a monthly potluck where they could share meals and moments, a solid anchor in their lives? Slowly, the plans transformed into visions, friendships deepening, heartaches shared, and memories created. And just as hope rekindled, Lily realized this was becoming more than a project. This was a commitment. Yet, as she watched the excitement grow, a quiet voice in her head warned her of the inevitable slip back into routine and anonymity. What if she couldn't hold them accountable? What if she couldn't be the leader they needed? Mrs. Thompson, sensing the swirling doubts, placed a soft hand on Lily's arm. It begins with each of us, dear. It's not just about one person. It's a collective responsibility. The weight of those words sank in. It was true. They were weaving a new tapestry, one that couldn't just be held together by a single thread. Okay, Lily said, her voice steadying. I'm in. Let's do this together. With renewed enthusiasm, the group dove back into plans, and laughter began to fill the room once more. But as they hashed out the details, Lily couldn't shake the lingering question. Could they truly maintain this connection, or was it destined to falter like past attempts? Would they be able to face their challenges collectively, or would isolation creep in like it always did? The conversation flowed, but in Lily's heart, uncertainty nodded, waiting for the truth to be tested. The sun dipped lower in the sky as conversations fluttered around the room, bursting with laughter and ideas about potlucks and check-ins. Yet Lily's mind spun with a cyclone of doubts, echoing in the back of her mind. What if the excitement fizzled out? What if life's chaos pulled everyone away, just when they needed each other the most? She couldn't let that happen again. The thought weighed heavily, like a storm cloud darkening her hopeful heart. As the plan solidified, Lily caught Mrs. Thompson's gaze. There was a knowing look there, packed with wisdom. Lily, remember what I said. This has to come from all our hearts, from each of us. It won't work if it's just you. Nervously, Lily nodded. She sat back, watching her friends animate with ideas, absorbing their energy. Megan was brainstorming themes for the first potluck, while Carl drew up a calendar on his phone, determined to keep track of everything. But with every excited suggestion, the knot in Lily's stomach tightened. She had always been the dreamer, the one who made plans, but the execution, that often slipped through her fingers like sand. Megan, what dish are you bringing? Carl asked, all eyes on her, spurring her enthusiasm. Oh, I was thinking homemade pasta. I can teach everyone how to make it, Megan chirped, her eyes lit up with excitement. That sounds amazing, a voice called out, and soon the room buzzed with ideas about toppings and sauces. The energy surged, and Lily felt herself getting lost in the swell. But while the laughter and ideas tumbled, the weight still loomed. Would they really support each other this time? Then, a small but familiar voice piped up from a corner. Avery, a shy girl from the block. What if we also have a day just for the kids? Like we could play games and teach them to plant flowers in the garden? A tense silence fell. Lily's heart raced. Avery's idea was brilliant, but it added another layer of responsibility. Could they juggle kids and maintenance too? That's a wonderful idea, Avery, Mrs. Thompson said warmly, her eyes sparkling. Our children can learn to appreciate the garden too. It will strengthen our community even more. Lily shot Mrs. Thompson a cautious look. But do we have enough people to help with that? We can figure that out together, Carl replied, determination in his voice. We just need to spread the word. Maybe the kids can each bring a friend. Make it a little party? A wave of support washed over the room, and slowly Lily began to relax, her worries softening, like shadows fading under the morning sun. They were indeed a community, and every voice, big or small, had value. Yet, just as she allowed herself to feel a flicker of hope, a wave of doubt swept in again. It was easy for everyone to agree now, but would they all really show up when the busyness of life kicked in? Megan, catching Lily's distant gaze, nudged her. Hey, you okay? You seem a bit quiet. Maybe a little brainstorming would help. Lily forced a smile and leaned in to join the chatter, but her heart still raced. The thought nagged at her like a persistent itch. What if this bright vision was only an illusion? As they wrapped up the evening, plans finally set, Lily couldn't help but steal a glance at her watch. The clock ticked loudly, reminding her that time was fleeting. What if by next week, when everyone was busy with their daily lives, this enthusiasm was just a memory? The moment hung in the air, a fragile balance of hope and fear. She gathered her things, her heart heavy with the weight of anticipation. Tomorrow, when the real work began, would they be able to stand together, or would she find herself alone again as the demands of life pulled everyone in different directions? Let's meet again next week, shall we? Same time? Carl's voice shattered her thoughts, igniting a chorus of agreement. Yes, definitely, Megan brightened. As they filed out, excitement buzzed in the air, but Lily lingered, the knot in her stomach tightening once more. With each step towards the door, a quiet question echoed in her mind. Would their unity hold up when challenges arose, or would it all fall apart before it even started? Just as she reached for the handle, a sudden thought struck her. What if, instead of waiting for things to fall apart, she took the lead? What if they all helped each other through the tough times? With the door leaving a whisper of warmth behind her, Lily felt a flicker of determination. Perhaps this time would be different. But what would it really take to keep the community together? Lily woke, sunlight streaming through her window. Illuminating the room in golden hues. The excitement from last night still fluttered in her chest, but a thick veneer of anxiety was quickly settling in. What if she couldn't rally her friends when it counted? Biting her lip, she dressed and headed out. As she walked down the street, she noticed neighbors tending to their gardens, kids playing hopscotch and laughing. The community was alive, vibrant. Could she harness this energy? Her steps quickened, pounding the pavement like her racing heart. She envisioned the potluck, the laughter, the warmth of shared meals. Would it all fall into place? In her mind, a picture formed. A table laden with colorful dishes, friends gathered around, their smiles reflecting joy and connection. As she reached her front porch, the sound of her phone vibrating cut into her daydream. It was Megan. Hey, Lily, are you ready for tomorrow? Kind of. Just trying to wrap my head around everything, Lily admitted, the knot tightening again in her stomach. We'll make it fun. Everyone's excited. Megan's voice bubbled with enthusiasm. I've been thinking, what if we add a little DIY section at the potluck? You know, crafts for the kids while the adults cook? Sounds great, but who will lead that? You, of course. This is all about teamwork. Megan's optimism pierced through Lily's doubts, urging her to breathe a little easier. Okay, let's give it a shot, but what if the kids get bored? They won't. We'll keep them engaged. Maybe make a flower pot, like Avery suggested. It ties into the garden theme. Lily's hands began to tingle with excitement. Yeah, I can see that working. Exactly. If we split up the tasks, we can manage it all. It's going to be wonderful. As they finalized their plans, a sense of purpose washed over Lily. The idea of blending the adults' potluck with kid-friendly crafts felt refreshing. They could all support each other, and maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't have to grapple with the weight of everything alone. As dusk crept in, Lily settled in her cozy living room, the faint scent of lavender from her candle wafting by. Her mind raced with possibilities, ideas spiraling like brightly colored confetti. She could almost see the vibrant atmosphere, a true celebration of community. But as she prepared for bed, thoughts crept in again. What if someone didn't show up? What if she failed? Underneath all the excitement lay a thin layer of fear, persistent and unwelcome. She couldn't shake the idea that everyone might bail when faced with the maze of life's obligations. The very next day, under a sunny sky, Lily arrived at the park where the potluck would be. The tables were set up, each waiting for the food they'd bring. She felt her heart race. Would they really come? The first few people trickled in, Carl lugging a ridiculously large lasagna, Megan balancing a stack of plates, and Mrs. Thompson carrying a pie that looked like a work of art. The energy slowly shifted, knitting them together. Laughter bounced around the park as children played tag, oblivious to their parents' worries. But just then, the sound of a laugh caught Lily's attention. A family she recognized but had never spoken to was setting up near them. They were new to the neighborhood and had always seemed guarded, a world apart from the lively circle Lily longed to foster. Their children approached, curious about the decorations and snacks. Should she invite them to join, pull them into the warmth of community right here, or would that risk overwhelming them? In that moment of hesitation, inspiration sparked. "Hey there," Lily called out, beckoning. "We're having a potluck. Want to join us?" The family exchanged nervous glances, then slowly walked over. As she offered a plate to the shy kids, something unexpected washed over her, a wave of daring. This was it, the connection she fought so hard for. Would that moment spread warmth and dissolve any lingering barriers? The answer danced within her, flickering like a flame of hope. As laughter filled the air, Lily knew they were crossing a threshold, but she wondered, could this one small action ripple out and truly bind their community together? The sun dipped low, casting shadows that intertwined, and as joy expanded around them, a question lingered just above the laughter. Would this singular act of hospitality serve as the catalyst for deeper connections, or would it be yet another fleeting moment in the grand tapestry of life? As the sun began its descent, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, laughter bounced off the trees like a sweet melody. Lily watched as the children danced around, her heart swelled. She couldn't shake the feeling of excitement mixed with uncertainty. Would the new family leave feeling embraced, or just polite? "Thank you for inviting us," said the mother, a soft smile on her face. "I'm Sarah, and these are my kids, Ethan and Mia." The kids perked up, their initial shyness melting into bright-eyed curiosity. "I'm Lily. This is our potluck, a chance for everyone to come together, share food, and have fun." She hoped her enthusiasm would catch on. Ethan looked at the crafts table with wonder. "Can we make something?" "Absolutely. We've got plenty of supplies," Lily replied, grinning. Mia nudged her brother, then whispered something in his ear. They both giggled. It was the kind of laughter that felt infectious, drawing others in. Lily noticed Megan approaching, a plate of aromatic chili in her hands. "Hey, Sarah. Great to see you here. If your kids are up for it, we have a flower pot craft that they can join." "Can we, Mom?" Ethan pleaded, his eyes sparkling. "Sure," Sarah nodded, clearly relieved at the invitation. As they set up for crafts, Lily felt something click into place. Watching Mia and Ethan carefully paint their pots, she felt a warmth blossoming in her chest. This was what she envisioned, a tapestry woven with new threads of connection. However, just as she thought everything was falling into place, she noticed a familiar face among the crowd. It was Vanessa, her childhood friend, but their friendship had turned sour over a petty disagreement long ago. What would she think of Lily's efforts? Would she ridicule her attempt to bring the community together? Just then, Vanessa approached, arms crossed, a skeptical look on her face. "So, what's this all about, Lily? Trying to play community organizer now?" Lily's heart sank for a moment. Sarah observed the exchange, sensing the tension. "I know it might seem silly," Lily said, her voice steadier than she felt, "but I just thought we could all use a little connection. Sometimes we get so busy living our own lives, we forget to reach out. This is fun, right?" Vanessa paused, and for a second, Lily wondered if she might see a glimmer of understanding, but all she got was a half-hearted nod. "If you say so, just make sure you don't overwhelm anyone." Before Lily could respond, Vanessa turned away, stepping back into her tight circle of friends. A cloud of disappointment washed over her. She had hoped for something different, but maybe this was just how it was sometimes, fragile. The potluck continued, with happy chatter and children's laughter. As plates emptied and hearts filled, Lily caught small moments of joy. The way Sarah smiled at her kids if they painted, Carl joking with Mrs. Thompson over dessert, Megan dancing with the little ones. It felt so alive. Just then, a gentle breeze blew through the park, carrying the scent of blooming flowers. In that moment, she looked around and saw not just a gathering, but the first threads of a community being stitched together. What if everything that happened today, across all the laughter and uncertainty, could be the start of something beautiful? Just like that, the little family shared another laugh, and Lily felt a feeling kick in, the possibility of transformation. But with that spark of hope, another question loomed large in her mind. What if Vanessa, who had always been so quick to criticize, turned out to be the key to unlocking deeper bonds within the community? Without realizing it, the stakes were rising. Could she reach out to her old friend and rewrite their story? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows in the fading light, the answer rested just beyond her grasp, tantalizingly close, yet uncertain. Would Lily find the courage to break barriers? Or would this potluck be a fleeting moment, the potential lost to fear and hesitation? Lily stood in the fading light, her heart fluttering. She watched the community enveloped in genuine warmth and laughter. Yet the shadow cast by Vanessa's harsh words lingered in her mind, forcing her to confront a growing realization. Perhaps they needed to talk. Perhaps they needed to mend the fractured ties that had woven tension into their past. As she glided through the gathering, moments of shared joy all around her, a quiet determination blossomed. This was not just about one potluck. It was about constructing something deeper, a network of support and connection that could withstand the trials of life. But that also meant facing her fears, confronting what had held them apart. She spotted Vanessa again, standing behind a picnic table, her arms crossed as she engaged in conversation with her friends. The air felt heavy, charged with an unease that only made Lily want to act. What was stopping her? Taking a deep breath, Lily approached, her heart pounding in her chest. She could see Vanessa's eyes, their familiar sparkle clouded with skepticism. "Hey, Vanessa," she began, her voice steadying as courage flowed through her. "Could we talk for a second?" Vanessa raised an eyebrow but didn't dismiss her outright. "Talk? About what?" Lily's heart raced. "About us. About everything, really. I know we haven't seen eye to eye for a while, but I think this could be an opportunity for us to change that. I just wanted to reconnect." The crowd shifted around them, laughter surrounding their bubble. The moment felt electric. Watching Vanessa's expression shift, Lily noticed a flicker of surprise, even vulnerability beneath the tough exterior. Why now, after all this time? Vanessa's question held an edge of curiosity. "Because I realized how fragile our connections have been, and if I've learned anything today, it's that we can't let misunderstandings keep us apart." Lily's voice trembled slightly, but she pushed through. "I want to see us grow as a community, together. I don't want people to feel alone anymore, including you." Surprised murmurs of their friends began to fade into the background, leaving just the two of them in a space of possibilities. Vanessa's face softened just a bit, and Lily felt a rush of hope. Okay, Vanessa said slowly, a trace of guardedness still lingering, but softening nonetheless. I'll admit, I didn't expect you to reach out. It's refreshing. As they spoke, the conversation became less about their past bitterness and more about rebuilding a future. Realization swept over them both. The differences that had once felt insurmountable seemed small against the backdrop of growing together. Meanwhile, the energy within the park shifted into something electric as community members began to notice their exchange. Small conversations bubbled up, mingling with the upbeat atmosphere. Laughter now echoed with a newfound harmony, weaving a narrative of shared growth. As they wrapped up their discussion, Lily felt lighter, relieved. They had managed to breach an old divide, and she could see a glimmer of understanding in Vanessa's eyes. Let's do this again sometime, together, Vanessa suggested, her tone less critical, filled with genuine inquiry. I'll bring the toppings for the pasta night. Lily smiled, warmth wrapping around her as they both took a step back, nodding toward each other. Something had shifted. They were crossing over into a new chapter, and the echoes of their laughter intermingled with the joyful shouts of the children playing nearby. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting final rays of golden light, Lily looked at their evolving community, noticing how they had all begun to forge new connections. Friends laughed together, children played, Sarah danced with Mia, and Mrs. Thompson shared stories with those around her. In that moment, Lily understood. They weren't merely basking in the glow of the potluck. They were, as a collective, beginning to embrace their shared humanity. The invisible threads of connection began to twine closer together, and where there had been uncertainty, there now lay comfort and strength. Yet Lily's heart still hungered for one more step. They needed to commit to ensure they would maintain this momentum beyond this gathering. Turning to Megan, who was laughing alongside Mrs. Thompson, she called out, "Hey, can we set a date for our next meeting? For real?" The room quieted as everyone turned to her, and anticipation hung vibrantly in the air. "Why not monthly?" Megan shouted back, bright-eyed. "Let's make this process solid. We can rotate who organizes each time." As the crowd erupted into agreement, Lily felt a rush of exhilaration wash over her. They were bouncing ideas off one another, throwing dates and themes into the mix. It wasn't just about the potluck anymore. It was about a commitment to each other. The idea was blooming, just like the vibrant flowers they had painted, each petal representing a voice they would carry forward. They would stitch the fabric of their community tighter, ensuring no one slipped through the cracks. After an evening of laughter, connection, and newfound resolutions, Lily felt a sense of belonging that had eluded her for too long. Nobody would falter anymore. They had each other's backs, ready to support one another through thick and thin. But as she watched the sun finally dip below the horizon, wrapping the park in twilight, one pivotal question lingered in the tapestry of her thoughts. Would their newfound connections endure, or would they falter once life's challenges returned? With resolve brewing inside her, Lily whispered to herself, "This time, we'll make sure to hold on." She felt the fierce determination rise within, a promise not just to herself, but to every member of the community who had begun to gather, ready to weave a future filled with love, laughter, and unwavering connection. Beneath the stars, the night air felt thick with hope as they stepped into the future together, into each other's lives, hand in hand. Now, for everyone watching this incredible journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that weave through these lives. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this connection alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Your voice matters. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's inspire together. Beneath the stars, the night air felt thick with hope as they stepped into the future together, into each other's lives, hand in hand. Now, for everyone watching this incredible journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that weave through these lives. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this connection alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Your voice matters. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's inspire together.